BKS presents You Can Draw with Steph Wilson and Carrie Ann.
The maid is Rosie, right?
Yes.
How did you know that? I did not show him this.
You didn't tell me either, but I can read. Tom's.
Good Lord, you ought to get a prize for a guest like that. We're going to draw Rosie, the maid. A character often overlooked on the Jetsons. Maidish, and it's kind of like futuristic, but the weird thing is like her eyes are like TV dials or oven dials. Her head looks like a barrel turned on its side, but then she's got the cool antennas off it. So it's like somewhere between, Rosie is somewhere between steampunk and futuristic. Now, 2/3 of the way up. This is like my Bob Ross thing. Like his happy little trees. Mine is sausages and 2/3 of the way up on the page.
Round nose.
The 2/3 of the way up on the page. It might just be the way I learned to draw. It's just a good positioning point for where the rest of your drawing is going to go. So 2/3 of the page, what we want to do is we want to draw 2 eyes. Now, this is not fancy cartoon eyes. You don't got to draw ovals. But you do have to pull off the best circle you possibly can. So, and don't make it too big. You still going?
Yeah, it's making me laugh.
2 circles just like that.
Hello, princess.
And if they're not 100% perfect, don't worry. We're going to add some details. We're going to add some details to those eyes that the roundness isn't really quite such a factor. Because what we're going to do is we're going to imagine another circle behind, because these are 3-dimensional. They're sticking out like oven dials. So what you do is you draw a straight line off the circle. Probably should zoom in for this at least, the circle. Okay, think of the circle traveling at a fast rate of speed. Now connect them with a circle of exactly the same size. So just follow the line as big. And what you do is, her eyes are actually red. And what you do is you color this in dark. And her eyes are actually going to be red. So we'll just put a little bit of shading on there. And they have little indicator triangles, and which is kind of cool because it kind of looks like eyelashes on her. So it's kind of a cool effect. Yup. Yeah, no, it was just a weird color. I mean, I guess oven knobs could be red. I'm just surprised they did that because the rest of her is so, and I'm going to zoom out again. Sorry, guys. And the rest of her is so, bluish gray and black and white for a maid outfit. It just seemed a strange color choice. All right, right here, beneath those eyes, what you're going to do is you're going to draw a straight line right between the eyes there. Now, imagine a mouth that's open, and we're going to draw it as a square because she has a robot mouth. But there's a curvature to her head. So her mouth is also going to curve. So even though her mouth is a square, her head is rounded. So a little crescent shape down, a little crescent shape down, straight line across the bottom. Because the curvature of the head is here, but it is not horizontal. Like her head isn't a globe. It is a can laying on its side, basically. So the only curvature around direction is up and down. And what you do is just draw a line across the top. That is kind of like that. It opens and closes as she talks. I would imagine it's to represent teeth or her mouth opening and closing. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. This mouth can look either way. When you first look at it, it kind of looks like she's yelling that way. Or it could be that she's open talking this way. And your brain is going to tell you that probably the open mouth this way is, until we draw the dimensions of her head and you see the other lines to it. So what you do is right over her eyes, slightly rounded, come across. Okay? Oops, I went a little far. And then what you do is a crescent shape down. Okay? A crescent shape down.
Sorry.
That's okay. And then come all the way across to the other line there. Oh yeah, I did go too far on that line, didn't I? And this shape does not make sense as you put the rest of her head on. And you go like this. She basically has a keg for a head, basically a shape. Not a barrel, because it is slightly rounded. Okay. So this represents the side of her little barrel head. This represents the front. And what you do is draw an oval inside there. Okay. I'll try to zoom in just a tad, just a scooch. And like her eyes, give it 3 dimensions. 2 lines, another crescent.
See you later, Piggy.
Bye, Piggy. Give it a teensy bit of shading. Not as dark as her eyes. Her eyes definitely had black around the sides of them. And now what happens is, this is what functions for an ear for her. Straight line out, draw a circle antenna thing on the end. Okay, same thing on the other side. Straight line out, just not as long, because we're seeing more of it here. And a big circle thingy. Now, right now, she doesn't look like Rosie the Maid at all. She just looks like pretty much any large Futurama-style robot. One thing you do right away that will make her look like Rosie the Maid, and everybody will know immediately who it is. Writing it's lots of fun. Little swoops, getting taller. Now we're at the top. Get a little smaller, come back down. It's her little maid's hat. And suddenly, she goes from any robot on Futurama type thing to Rosie. And do little swoops. She has a little collar that looks a lot like her little hat. Okay, and it goes right around the bottom of the barrel. It's a fluff collar. Without it, you can't be a maid. Yeah, that's why he's fired every episode. All right, so Rosie's body. This is what buttons. 1, 2, 3. Going down the center. And they all are like the eyes. So 2 lines off the side. Okay. Connect them with a matching crescent to show 3 dimensions. Give them some... One more time. Like her collar, but larger is her apron. They didn't give it an edge. They just did the frills. Okay? Because normally you'd kind of put an edge here and then you'd have the lace. But she's a robot. Don't get too sophisticated. Now what's interesting is Rosie has a skirt to go with her apron. Come down a little further out than you are on the main body. Now swing back up, give her a little backside, and then back up to the robot head. And this skirt is black, like a maid's outfit. So you get the white, she's, blue-gray, but you get the white of the lace and then the black of the skirt to get the maid look. Yet her torso, not black.
No, it's like gunmetal, right?
Mm-hmm. Gunmetal blue. Now, the bottom, her bottom that she runs around on is 2 wheels and looks really like a vacuum cleaner. So what you do is you come down, you swoop out. Okay? Come across with a slight curvature. If you drew it flat across, it wouldn't look as 3-dimensional. Swoop up and back up. It's almost like a dress form base or whatever. Until you put the wheels on it. And then it looks a bit like an old-style vacuum cleaner. And those are the wheels that she rolls around on. As far as I can tell, there's 2. There wasn't another third one in here. So, highly unstable for a maid. Now, we've got an arm coming down here, and we're going to do an arm with a feather duster here. And you can do anything. She had a vacuum cleaner in one episode I saw. She had any kind of cleaning tool, mop, whatever. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to draw an arm that's going to come down on this side of the body. It's going to go about to her waist. So swing a long line down like that. Now, part of that arm is going to disappear behind her body here. So right here where you ended that arm, just come up to the body like that. Not very complicated. Now, her arms are jointed. And they do show that. One, they show a little bolt head or something where the shoulder goes in. I'll zoom in. Bolt head or whatever, where the shoulder goes into the body. And then they make a little S shape on her arm like that. Okay, and what that means is kind of like if you had your G.I. Joe figures. If you remember your G.I. Joe figures, I don't think Barbies were entirely posable. Did their arms move around? So it would be your G.I. Joe type or action figures. And then put a little bolt in there too. And that's to show that her elbow is hinged with like a metal on metal, kind of like the Tin Man. Think Tin Man, Wizard of Oz. Her arm has a little more shape. His were tubes, but same thing. It's a joint in his arm. She has a joint there. Now, just like her collar, she has frills at her waist, at her wrists. Now, those frills, though, go back towards the head. So just follow along with me. What you do is you draw a flat line there at a space from away from the arm. And now just give 3 of those little frills like this. The frills are facing back up the arm from the hand. Now, there's some very familiar shapes to her hand. Draw a straight line. Make a nice orange wedge, crescent shape like that. Right here from the frill, make another crescent like that. Connect it with a straight line. This is one side of her hand, which is basically a claw, a machine claw. This would be her thumb, a little down, probably half of a crescent, I would say. And again, come across. It's her little grippy thingy, clampy thingy. Clamps from Futurama. I'll clamp you. Now, on this side, we get to draw a little bit more dynamics to the arm because here we're just hanging down. Like you could draw a mouth in his hand and a feather dust in that hand, but then you got too much going on. The arm being down at the side allows you to focus on her feather dusting. So always think of that when you're drawing stuff. Don't put too much stuff in there. It distracts from what you want to talk about, which is she's a maid and she's feather dusting. So what we're going to do is right here, you see where you drew her little elbow joint here? Come across her torso like that. We're going to draw this part of her arm, but it's going to be sticking up. Ready? Curved line like this. Come out. Curved line up here. Here we're going to be drawing the frills for her hand. Now, yes, the body is obscuring most of her arm, but not all of it. So a little crescent line like that to show her upper arm. We do not have to show the little bolt and the S-shaped joint because that would be hidden behind her forearm. But you should see some of her upper arm there. Okay, give it a little bolt head. And again, to do the frills, straight line across, nothing crazy. 1, 2, 3 little bump outs. And then just bring your lines into match. And that's the frills on her other wrist. Okay? Zoom you over this way. Now, one of the fun things to draw is a feather duster, but we've got to draw our grip first. Yeah, feather duster is a lot of fun to draw. I don't know why. What we do is this clamp shape, if it was to close, the one on our other hand, if this clamp shape was to close on a feather duster, it really wouldn't close because it's supposed to be metal. But there's that stretch of imagination in animation. So what they want to show is that she's able to grip a feather duster. So what you do is you make a very square, this would be a fist. That's what you're looking at. Oops. Okay. This is a fist. And this would be a thumb. So it's just an interpretation of the clamp they're assuming would wrap around. Let me show it again. The clamp here is wrapping around the feather duster and the thumb. It really wouldn't, but we're going to let it slide because they're animators and it's a good cartoon. And then what you do is, from this grip, you want to draw basically a stick that's got a feather duster on the end of it. But you don't want it to look too sticky, if that makes sense. Because feather dusters kind of look like feather dusters because they have shape. So, oops, draw a little sticky. I got a little messy there. Draw a little end of a stick there, a handle. And then as it comes out of her hand, let it get a little wider. Okay, think of like a baseball bat, but not as big, not as long. Because feather dusters always have some sort of carved shape to them. The old style ones, the ones that they're doing on the TV, because, you know, Jetsons, They would have an old style feather duster. I don't know why. That makes no sense at all. It should be a very futuristic IKEA looking feather duster, but it's not. Think of a candlestick, maybe, drawing a candlestick. You can put a ring on. You can put a little round thing on the end. Think of Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. It's got those candlestick shapies to it. And that's what they're basically showing. Because the feather duster actually is all white. So they have painted whitewood decorative feather dusters in the future. And then what you want to do is draw a little half-rounded end to that. We're gonna put feathers sticking out of that, okay?
What color was the...
So, what we do for feathers is we shoot out, we shoot back in and down. And don't start at the end, because the feathers at the end are going to be a little further away. So what we want to do is we want to put a couple feathers right in the middle. Look like bunny ears right now. And what that allows us to do, these are the feathers that are closest to us, okay? So we see the entire feather. The other feathers would be slightly behind them. So now we can fill in the other feathers. So what we do is we come back with another feather there. We come back with another feather there that just ends right in the other feathers. Okay? It's not looking fluffy enough yet, so we come over here and don't make it as long. As the feathers go out further, they get a little shorter. George Jetson in a spaceship. We could do that. The secret word is feathers. Yes, free sketch. One more feather drooping down, maybe. You know, a little bump out. Get a little crazy with your feather duster. Put maybe one or two up here to show it's got a little bulk to it. All right. So you can see there's more feathers behind, and you got the feather duster. Feather duster 101. So easy to do. All right, let me zoom out a little. You can see that is Rosie. Now she's got a black skirt, white, and everything else about her is gunmetal gray. I'm just going to give her gray so you guys can get the effect. Okay, and Carrie's going to probably have a colored version.
I do.
Let me just give her a little bit of shading.
I
Remember,
do very little shading because she's...
Feather duster has to be white. Her bottom is, her little roller bottom is a little lighter color for some reason. I don't know why. You'd think they would have made it darker just because it's underneath her and would be in shadow. But
they don't shade her at all, so...
Who's that?
The animator. She's very flat.
Oh, yeah. She has no shadowing or anything. You could have, if you wanted to.
I did very little.
You could make her very three-dimensional, but and that's the problem with animation. Even George Jetson isn't going to have a lot of shading on him. He's just going to have color. Digital index operator. That is hilarious. Animators have a good sense of humor. A very good sense of humor. We got to make her a little smaller. Oh, that's perfect. There you go, Rosie. Absolutely perfect. Snap that picture. That is a great reference guide, not only of colors, but also picture.
Yeah, I just did just basic shading.
Snap the picture there if you just need the line work of Rosie.
Thank you so much for drawing and watching with us. Please like, comment, and share if you had fun.